The afternoon sun beat down on the grocery store parking lot as Nicole Bennett loaded bags into her trunk. Beside her, 8-year-old Zara chatted about the cookies they'd bought for their weekend baking project. "Miss Nicole, can we make the chocolate chip ones first?" Zara asked, her braids bouncing as she hopped from foot to foot. Nicole smiled, but the expression froze when she heard a familiar voice behind her. Well, Nicole Bennett. Or should I say somebody else's baby mama now? She turned slowly. Brandon stood 3 cars away, his arms crossed and that smug smile she remembered too well plastered across his face. 5 years since the divorce, and he still had the power to make her heart race with anger. Brandon. Nicole kept her voice steady, one hand on Zara's shoulder. He walked closer, his eyes moving from Nicole to Zara with obvious calculation. "Didn't waste any time, did you? How long after we split before you found some other fool to knock you up? 1 year? 6 months? Nicole felt Zara tense beside her. The girl was smart enough to sense the hostility even if she didn't understand all the words. "You don't know what you're talking about," Nicole said quietly. "Oh, I think I do." Brandon's voice got louder, attracting attention from nearby shoppers. "I spent 10 years married to you, listening to you say you weren't ready for kids. And here you are, playing happy family with someone else's." "Miss Nicole isn't my mom," Zara interrupted, her young voice cutting through his rant. "She's my mentor." Brandon's mouth hung open mid-sentence. His eyes darted between them, confusion replacing smugness. "That's right," Nicole said, her voice gaining strength. "Zara is part of the mentorship program I run. We spent the afternoon together because that's what I do now. I help young girls build better futures for themselves." "Mentorship program?" Brandon repeated stupidly. "The Future Queens Foundation. I started it 3 years ago." Nicole closed her trunk with a firm click. "Not that it's any of your business what I do with my life." "You started a foundation?" His voice had lost its mocking edge. "Yes. We pair professional women with girls who need guidance and support. Zara here is one of our success stories." "Straight A student, aren't you, sweetheart?" Zara nodded, standing a little straighter. "Miss Nicole helped me with my science fair project. I won first place in the district." Brandon's face had gone from smug to pale. Nicole watched him process the information, saw the moment he realized how badly he'd miscalculated this encounter. "I thought," he started. "You thought you'd get to mock me for something that wasn't even true," Nicole finished. "You thought you'd make me feel small because that's what you're good at. But I'm not that woman anymore, Brandon. I stopped being her the day I signed those divorce papers." A woman pushing a shopping cart paused nearby, clearly listening. Brandon noticed and shifted uncomfortably. "Look, I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." Nicole opened the passenger door for Zara. "You meant every word. You wanted to hurt me because that's who you are. But here's the thing, you can't hurt someone who's already moved past you." She walked around to the driver's side, leaving Brandon standing in the parking lot. As she buckled her seatbelt, she caught sight of him in the rearview mirror. He looked smaller somehow, deflated. "Miss Nicole?" Zara's voice was soft. "Was that man mean to you before?" Nicole started the engine. "Yes, sweetie. But that was a long time ago when I didn't know my own strength yet. Do you know it now?" Nicole smiled, this time for real. "Yes, Zara. I know it now." As they pulled out of the parking lot, Nicole felt something lift from her chest. For 5 years, she'd wondered what she'd say if she ever ran into Brandon again. She'd imagined 100 different scenarios, practiced speeches in her head. She never imagined she'd feel nothing but pity for him. The traffic light ahead turned red. Nicole stopped and looked over at Zara, who was already pulling out the word search book they'd bought. "Hey, Zara?" "Yes, Miss Nicole? Thank you for speaking up back there. That took courage." Zara shrugged, but Nicole could see pride in her eyes. "You always tell us to use our voices. You said silence lets people think they're right even when they're wrong." Nicole's throat tightened. "That's exactly right." The light changed. Nicole drove toward Zara's neighborhood, toward the afternoon of baking and homework help they'd planned. But her mind kept returning to Brandon's face in that parking lot, to the shock in his eyes when his assumptions crumbled. He'd wanted to make her feel small. Instead, he'd gotten a glimpse of the life she'd built without him. A life bigger and more meaningful than anything they'd had together. "Miss Nicole, you're smiling," Zara observed. "Am I?" "Yeah. It's your happy smile. Not your polite smile." Nicole laughed. "You're very observant. That's what you're always telling me to be. Observant and honest." "Well, you're right. I'm happy. Do you know why?" Zara thought for a moment. "Because we're making cookies?" That's part of it. But mostly because I get to spend my Saturday with one of my favorite people in the world, doing something we both enjoy. That's real happiness, Zara. Not the big dramatic stuff. Just this. Zara nodded seriously, then went back to her word search. But Nicole caught her smiling too. By the time they reached Zara's building, Nicole had already pushed the parking lot encounter to the back of her mind. Brandon belonged to her past. Zara and the other girls in her program, they were her present and her future. She'd spent too many years letting Brandon's choices define her life. She wouldn't give him another second of her peace. Not today. Not ever again. Nicole pushed open the apartment door at 2 in the afternoon, exhausted from a double shift at the hospital. Her feet ached, and all she wanted was to shower and sleep for the next 12 hours. Brandon, she called out. His car was in the lot, which was unusual for a Thursday. He should have been at work. No answer. Nicole dropped her bag on the couch and headed toward the bedroom. Maybe he was sick. She'd check on him then. The laptop on the dining table caught her eye. Brandon's work computer, left open and unlocked. He was obsessive about closing it, about his privacy. Something made Nicole pause. She shouldn't look. That would be invading his privacy, crossing a line. But her feet carried her to the table anyway. The screen showed an email inbox. At the top, a message from someone named Brittany with the subject line, "Can't wait for tonight." Nicole's hands shook as she clicked it open. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Make sure you tell her you're working late again. We need to talk about our plans. Once you get that promotion, we can finally stop hiding." Nicole stared at the words. Read them again. And again. Our plans. Stop hiding. Her nursing training kicked in. Assess the situation, gather information, act systematically. She opened more emails, her heart hammering harder with each one. Messages going back a year. A full year. Photos of Brandon with a woman Nicole vaguely recognized from his office Christmas party. Plans for weekends when Nicole had been working. Discussions about leaving Nicole once Brandon's promotion came through. She's so boring anyway. All she does is work and sleep. You're what I need. Nicole's vision blurred. She grabbed her phone and started taking pictures of everything. Emails, text messages she found on the phone he'd left charging on the kitchen counter, calendar entries that proved his lies. The bathroom door opened. Nicole heard the shower shut off. She had maybe 3 minutes before Brandon came out. Her hands moved faster, photographing bank statements she found in his briefcase, credit card bills showing charges at restaurants and hotels she'd never been to. Evidence. She needed evidence of everything. "Nicole? That you?" His voice from the bedroom sent ice through her veins. She closed the laptop exactly how she'd found it, slipped his phone back on the charger and stepped away from the table. "Yeah, came home early." Her voice sounded normal. How was that possible? Double shift ended sooner than expected. Brandon emerged from the bedroom in a towel, his hair wet. He looked at her, then at the table, then back at her. For a second Nicole thought he knew. "You look exhausted," he said finally. "Why don't you rest?" "Good idea." Nicole picked up her bag and headed for the bedroom, walking past him without meeting his eyes. In the bedroom, she sat on the edge of the bed, her phone clutched in her hand. Photos of evidence stored safely in a hidden folder. A year. He'd been cheating for a year. Planning to leave her for a year. And she'd had no idea. Nicole wanted to scream, to confront him, to throw his laptop at his head. But something stopped her. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the part of her brain that knew emotional reactions rarely led to good outcomes. Or maybe it was the nurse in her, trained to stay calm in emergencies, to assess before acting. She heard Brandon moving around the apartment, heard him on the phone speaking in low tones. Making plans with Brittany, probably. Plans that included Nicole being asleep and oblivious. He was right that she was exhausted. But sleep wouldn't come now. Nicole lay down on the bed fully clothed and stared at the ceiling. Her mind raced through everything, 10 years of marriage, the struggles they'd faced, the dreams they'd shared. Or at least the dreams she'd thought they'd shared. Had any of it been real? Or had she been living in a fantasy while Brandon counted down the days until he could leave? Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend Simone. "How was the shift? Call me when you're up." Nicole typed back, "Need to talk." "Tomorrow?" The response came immediately, "Everything okay?" "No, but it will be." Nicole closed her eyes, but she didn't sleep. She planned. She thought. She calculated. Brandon wanted to blindside her with a divorce once his promotion came through. He wanted to leave her with nothing, painting himself as the victim of a loveless marriage. But Nicole had always been good at strategy. Better than Brandon gave her credit for. If he wanted to play games, she'd show him how the game was really played. But first she needed to know everything. Every lie, every hidden account, every plan he'd made. She needed to be 10 steps ahead before she made her move. In the living room, Brandon laughed at something. The sound made Nicole's stomach turn. She'd loved that laugh once. Built her life around the man who made it. Now it just sounded hollow. Nicole opened her phone again and started making notes. Tomorrow she'd call a lawyer. She'd start moving money. She'd document everything. Brandon thought he was being clever, keeping his affair secret until the timing was right for him. He had no idea his wife had just become the most dangerous opponent he'd ever face. Nicole carried 2 cups of coffee into attorney Rachel Thompson's office, acting like she had all the time in the world. Inside, her heart was racing. "Mrs. Bennett, thank you for coming in." Rachel was a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s with a reputation for winning difficult divorces. "What can I do for you?" "I need to divorce my husband." Nicole set the coffee down with steady hands. "But I need to do it right." Over the next hour, she laid out everything she'd discovered. Rachel took notes, her expression growing more serious. "You have excellent documentation," Rachel said finally. "That's going to help significantly. What's your situation financially?" "Joint bank accounts. He makes more than me but not by much. I'm a registered nurse. The house is in both our names, but he paid most of the down payment." "Any debt?" "His student loans. About $40,000 left. I paid mine off 2 years ago." Rachel nodded. "And you've been married how long?" 10 years. "That works in your favor for equitable distribution. New Jersey is not a community property state, but 10 years of marriage means you're entitled to a fair share of marital assets." Rachel leaned forward. "Here's what I need you to do. Don't confront him yet. Don't change your behavior at all. Can you do that?" Nicole thought of Brandon kissing her goodbye that morning, lying straight to her face. "Yes." "Good. I need you to gather more information. Bank statements, tax returns, investment accounts. Any assets he might have that you don't know about. Check credit reports for hidden credit cards. Make copies of everything." "What about money?" "I have my own income, but our checking account is joint. Open a separate account at a different bank. Start moving a portion of your paycheck there, not all of it, that would be noticed. Maybe 20%. Build up a safety fund." Nicole pulled out her phone and made notes. "What else?" "Document your contributions to the marriage. You work full-time, right? Do you also handle housework? Cooking? Write it all down. In equitable distribution, the court considers both financial and non-financial contributions." "He's having an affair with a coworker," Nicole said. "Does that matter?" New Jersey allows fault-based divorce, including adultery. But here's the thing, it can extend the proceedings and increase costs. Sometimes it's better to file on irreconcilable differences and use the adultery as leverage for a better settlement. Rachel paused. "However, if he works for certain employers, information about workplace affairs can affect his position. Do you know their company policy?" Nicole did. Brandon worked for a conservative financial firm with strict ethics clauses. An affair with a subordinate, and Nicole had seen enough emails to know Brittany reported to Brandon, could cost him his job. "Keep that information close," Rachel advised. "It's ammunition. Don't fire it until you need to." Nicole left the office with a plan. Over the next 3 months, she executed it with surgical precision. She smiled at Brandon over breakfast, kissed him goodbye, asked about his day, all while secretly photographing every document she could find. She discovered his hidden savings account, $20,000 she'd known nothing about. She found credit card statements for a card in only his name, showing expensive dinners and hotel stays. She pulled their tax returns and saw that he'd been claiming more deductions than they'd actually had. Every piece of evidence went into a cloud storage account Brandon didn't know existed. She opened a checking account at a credit union across town. Started depositing 20% of each paycheck, just like Rachel suggested. The account grew slowly but steadily. She picked up extra shifts at the hospital, telling Brandon she wanted to save for a vacation. He encouraged it, probably thinking it gave him more time with Brittany. Nicole didn't care what he thought. She was building her escape fund. The hardest part was staying quiet. Nicole had always been direct, someone who confronted problems head-on. This silent strategy went against every instinct. But every time she wanted to scream at him, she thought about Rachel's words. Emotional reactions give him ammunition. Cold strategy wins cases. So Nicole stayed cold. She watched Brandon lie to her face and she smiled. She saw him text Brittany during dinner and she asked if everything was okay at work. She heard him make excuses about working late and she told him she understood. Inside she was dying. The man she'd loved for 12 years was a stranger. Every kind word felt like mockery. Every touch felt like betrayal. Nicole threw herself into work, taking on responsibilities at the hospital that kept her mind occupied. Her supervisor noticed her dedication and mentioned a management position opening up. Nicole applied immediately. More money meant more power in the divorce. She got the promotion. Brandon took her out to celebrate, playing the proud husband. Nicole watched him smile at her and wondered if Brittany knew about the dinner. Probably. They probably laughed about it together. At night, alone in the guest room where she'd started sleeping under the excuse of not wanting to wake Brandon with her odd nursing hours, Nicole let herself feel the pain. She cried silently into her pillow, mourning the marriage she thought she'd had. But when morning came, she got up and went back to being the perfect wife. The wife who suspected nothing. 3 months after her first meeting with Rachel, Nicole had everything she needed. "I'm ready," she told the attorney over the phone. "You're sure?" "Positive. His promotion came through last week. He's feeling confident. That means he'll make mistakes." "All right." Rachel's voice held approval. "Let's schedule a meeting to go over the filing strategy. We'll serve him at a time that gives us maximum advantage." Nicole hung up and looked around the apartment she'd shared with Brandon for 8 years. Soon she'd leave this place behind. Leave him behind. The thought should have made her sad. Instead, she felt something else entirely. Freedom. She'd spent 3 months living a lie, playing a role. But she'd done it for a purpose. She'd gathered her ammunition, built her resources, prepared her escape. Brandon thought he was in control. He thought Nicole was clueless, that she'd be blindsided when he finally made his move. He had no idea that his wife had been planning his downfall for 90 days. The game was almost over. And Brandon had already lost. Nicole chose a Tuesday morning for maximum impact. Brandon's company held department meetings every Tuesday at 10. The entire executive team would be present, including his boss and HR. Including Brittany. Rachel had filed the divorce papers the day before. At 9:45, a process server walked into Brandon's office building. Nicole knew the exact moment it happened because her phone rang at 10:07. "Nicole, what the hell is this?" Brandon's voice shook with rage. "A process server just handed me divorce papers in the middle of a goddamn meeting. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" Nicole kept her voice calm, controlled. She was at work, standing in the hospital break room with the door closed. "Did you think I was that stupid?" Silence on the other end. Then, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Brittany. A year of emails, texts, hotel receipts. Plans to leave me as soon as you got your promotion. Should I go on? You went through my things?" His anger shifted to defensive outrage. "That's illegal." "No, it's not. Checking your laptop that you left open in our shared home isn't illegal. Neither is photographing the credit card statements you left lying around. Or the bank statements. Or the tax returns that show you've been hiding money." She heard him breathing heavily. "Nicole, let's talk about this. Just, let's talk." "We're way past talking, Brandon. My lawyer has already filed a motion to freeze our joint accounts and submitted a petition for equitable distribution. You'll get the hearing notice in a few days." "You can't do this." "I already did." "Oh, and Brandon? I sent copies of all those emails between you and your subordinate to your HR department. Just thought they should know about the workplace relationship that violates company policy." "You what?" His voice went high, panicked. "Nicole, that's my career. You can't." "I can and I did." "You should have thought about your career before you started sleeping with someone who reports to you. That's on you, not me." Nicole heard voices in the background, someone calling Brandon's name. "I have to go," she said. "My lawyer will be in touch about the settlement negotiations. Don't try to call me again. All communication goes through our attorneys now." She hung up before he could respond. Her hands were shaking. Nicole set the phone down and gripped the edge of the counter. She'd done it. After 3 months of silent strategy, she'd made her move. The phone rang again. "Brandon." She declined the call. It rang 6 more times in the next 10 minutes. She declined each one, then blocked his number. A text came through from Rachel. "Process server confirmed delivery. Let's talk this afternoon about next steps." Nicole typed back, "Thank you." Her shift didn't end until 6, but Nicole couldn't focus on work. Her mind kept replaying the phone call, Brandon's panic, his desperate attempts to control a situation that had already spiraled away from him. At lunch, she got a text from an unknown number. "This is Brittany. We need to talk." Nicole blocked the number without responding. Brittany had been sleeping with another woman's husband. Nicole owed her nothing, not even acknowledgement. Another text from another unknown number. Nicole, please. We can work this out. I love you. She almost laughed. Brandon loved her? He'd spent a year lying to her, planning to leave her, draining their assets into a hidden account. That wasn't love. That was convenience and cowardice. Nicole blocked that number too. By the end of her shift, she had 17 missed calls from various numbers and a dozen texts, each more desperate than the last. She blocked them all. At 7 p.m., she met Rachel at her office. How are you holding up? Rachel asked. Better than I expected. Nicole sat down, suddenly exhausted. I thought I'd feel guilty or sad. But I just feel relieved. That's normal. You've been carrying this secret for months. The waiting is often harder than the action. Rachel opened a folder. I have news. His company called. They're opening a formal investigation into the workplace relationship. And his HR rep confirmed that affairs between supervisors and subordinates are grounds for termination. They're firing him? Not yet. But it's possible. At minimum, he'll face disciplinary action. Rachel smiled grimly. He's also trying to access the joint accounts. He's locked out, of course, but the attempts are documented. Shows bad faith, which helps our case. What happens now? Now we wait for him to respond to the filing. He has 30 days, but my guess is his lawyer will try to negotiate before then. He's in a bad position, caught in an affair, his workplace investigating him, his assets frozen. He'll want to settle quickly and quietly. And if he doesn't? Then we go to court and I present every piece of evidence you gathered. Emails, bank statements, witness testimony from your friends about his absences and lies. We show that he planned to divorce you anyway, that he hid assets with the intent to deny you your fair share. We make it very public and very expensive for him. Nicole nodded slowly. I want what's fair. Not revenge, just fair. Fair is what we'll get. Half the marital assets, including his retirement fund. The house will probably need to be sold unless one of you wants to buy out the other. You'll get a portion of his income through equitable distribution since you supported him through the early years of his career. I don't want his money forever. Just what I'm owed. We'll make that clear in negotiations. Rachel leaned back. Nicole, I have to say, you handled this brilliantly. Most clients come to me emotional and unprepared. You came with evidence, a clear head, and a solid plan. That's why we're in such a strong position. Nicole felt something ease in her chest. For 3 months, she doubted herself, questioned whether she was being cold or calculating or cruel. But she'd done what she needed to do. I learned something about myself these past few months, Nicole said quietly. I learned I'm stronger than I thought. And I learned that sometimes you have to protect yourself even when your heart wants to hope things will get better. That's wisdom many people never gain. Nicole left Rachel's office as the sun set over the city. She drove to a hotel. Rachel had advised her not to go back to the apartment, at least not alone. Her clothes and important belongings were already in her car, packed that morning before work. In the hotel room, Nicole sat on the bed and finally let herself feel everything she'd been holding back. The pain of betrayal. The anger at being deceived. The grief for the marriage she'd thought she had. She cried for an hour, big heaving sobs that left her exhausted. But when she was done, Nicole washed her face and ordered room service. She ate dinner while watching mindless television. She took a long bath. She went to bed early. Tomorrow she'd start looking for a new apartment. She'd continue working at the hospital. She'd begin the process of untangling her life from Brandon's. Would be hard. Some days would be awful. But Nicole had already done the hardest part. She'd chosen herself over a man who'd chosen someone else. And in doing so, she'd discovered a strength she never knew she had. That strength would carry her through whatever came next. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Nicole stood in her new apartment with boxes everywhere and no idea where to start. The settlement had been better than expected. Brandon's lawyer had pushed for a quick resolution once the workplace investigation became serious. Nicole got her fair share of the marital assets, including half of Brandon's retirement fund and a lump sum payment that let her put a down payment on a small condo. It wasn't much, a 1-bedroom place in a decent neighborhood, nothing fancy. But it was hers. Every piece of furniture, every dish, every towel. All chosen by her for her. Nicole should have felt victorious. Instead she felt empty. She went to work. She came home. She ate dinner alone. She watched television alone. She went to bed alone. Her friends tried to include her in things, but Nicole always felt like a third wheel. Simone would invite her to couples dinners, trying to be supportive, but sitting there watching happy partnerships just made Nicole feel worse. You need to get out there again, Simone said one evening over coffee. Join a book club or something. Meet new people. I don't want to meet new people. Nicole stirred her coffee without drinking it. I'm fine alone. You're not fine. You're hiding. I'm healing. Healing looks like moving forward, not staying stuck. Nicole knew Simone was right, but moving forward felt impossible. The divorce had drained something from her, not just trust in other people but trust in her own judgment. She'd been wrong about Brandon, wrong about her marriage, wrong about everything. How could she trust herself to make better choices? One Saturday, wandering through Target because she couldn't stand being in her apartment anymore, Nicole spotted a flyer on the community board. Youth Center volunteers needed mentors for at-risk teens, make a difference in a young person's life. Nicole stood there staring at it. She'd never worked with kids. Her nursing focused on adults, mostly cardiac patients. But something about the flyer pulled at her. Before she could talk herself out of it, she took a photo of the contact information. 2 weeks later, Nicole sat in the community center office across from the program director, a woman named Janet with gray hair and kind eyes. We pair volunteers with teens who need guidance, Janet explained. These are kids who don't have strong support systems at home. Parents who work multiple jobs, single-parent homes, foster situations. They need adults who show up consistently and care about their success. I've never done anything like this, Nicole admitted. I'm a nurse. I work with hearts, not kids. Janet smiled. Do you show up when you say you will? Yes. Do you listen without judging? I try to. Can you commit to at least a year? Consistency is crucial for these kids. Nicole thought about her empty apartment, her empty evenings, her empty life. Yes, I can commit. Then you'll be great. They matched Nicole with a 13-year-old girl named Zara. Her mother worked 2 jobs. Her father wasn't in the picture. She was smart but struggling in school, not because she couldn't do the work but because no one at home had time to help her. Their first meeting was awkward. Zara sat slumped in a chair, arms crossed, clearly resenting being there. I don't need a mentor, she said. I'm doing fine. Okay. Nicole sat across from her. Then let's just hang out. Do you like reading? Zara shrugged. Sometimes. Math? Science? Another shrug. They sat in uncomfortable silence for 10 minutes. Then Zara said, My science teacher says I need to do a project for extra credit. But I don't know what to do. What are you studying in science? Biology. Like cells and stuff. That's interesting. What about cells interests you most? I don't know. It's boring. Nicole bit back a smile. She remembered being 13, thinking everything adults cared about was boring. What if we made it not boring? How? What do you care about? What's something you wonder about? Zara thought for a moment. My mom's always tired. Like all the time. Why do some people get more tired than others? That's a great question. That's cellular biology, how cells make energy, how different conditions affect energy production. We could build a project around that. For the first time, Zara looked interested. Really? Really? We could research cellular metabolism, maybe do some simple experiments to show how different factors affect energy. And at the end, you'd understand why your mom gets tired and maybe learn some things that could help her. That would be cool. They spent the next hour brainstorming. By the time Nicole left, Zara was smiling. So was Nicole. Over the following weeks, they met twice a week. They worked on the science project, but they also just talked. About school, about life, about dreams. What do you want to be when you grow up? Nicole asked one afternoon. I don't know. Nobody in my family went to college. My mom says we can't afford it anyway. There are scholarships, financial aid, ways to make it work if you want it badly enough. Did you go to college? I did. I got my nursing degree. It took me 6 years because I worked while I studied, but I did it. Zara looked at Nicole with something like awe. 6 years is a long time. It is. But I wanted something better for myself and I was willing to work for it. You can do the same thing, Zara. You're smart enough. You just need to believe you deserve it. Something shifted in Zara's eyes. Nicole recognized it because she'd seen the same shift in herself months ago in Rachel's office. The moment someone realizes they have more power than they thought. The science project earned Zara an A. Her overall grade in the class went from AC to AB. Her math teacher noticed the improvement and recommended her for advanced classes next year. Miss Nicole, you changed everything, Zara said at their 6-month check-in. My mom says I'm different now. You were always smart. You just needed someone to see it and help you see it too. Nicole realized she wasn't just talking about Zara. She was talking about herself. For months, she'd been stuck, feeling like the divorce had broken something essential in her. But working with Zara, she discovered something unexpected. Purpose. She couldn't fix her failed marriage. She couldn't go back and make different choices. But she could show up every week for a girl who needed her. She could use her own struggles to understand someone else's. She could take all that pain and emptiness and turn it into something good. One evening, after a particularly good session where Zara aced a test they'd studied for together, Nicole drove home feeling lighter than she had in a year. Her apartment wasn't empty anymore, it was peaceful. Her evenings weren't lonely, they were restful. Her life wasn't broken, it was different, but different could be good. She thought about Brandon, wondered if he was happy with Brittany. Nicole realized she didn't actually care. Whatever they had wasn't her problem anymore. She had something better, a purpose that didn't depend on someone else's love or approval. She had herself. And for the first time since the divorce, that felt like enough. Nicole sat across from Janet at the community center, nervous about what she was going to propose. "I've been thinking," Nicole began. "There are dozens of girls like Zara, smart, capable, but lacking support and guidance. What if we expanded the mentorship program? Made it more structured?" Janet leaned back in her chair. "I'm listening. I've been doing research. Girls from single-parent homes are significantly less likely to attend college, not because of ability but because of resources and guidance. They don't know how to navigate the system. They don't have role models showing them what's possible." Nicole pulled out a folder she'd prepared. "What if we created a comprehensive mentorship program specifically for girls? We'd pair them with professional women, not just for homework help but for life skills. Financial literacy, career exploration, college prep, real preparation for success." "That sounds expensive." "It would be. That's why I think we should start a foundation." Nicole took a breath. This was the scary part. "I have money from my divorce settlement. Not a fortune but enough to get started. We could fund the first year ourselves while we apply for grants and seek out donors." Janet's eyebrows rose. "You want to start a foundation with your divorce money?" "Yes. I've been sitting on it, trying to figure out what to do with it. This feels right. This feels like taking something painful and making it meaningful." "Nicole, that's incredibly generous. But starting a nonprofit is a huge undertaking. There's paperwork, legal requirements, tax considerations." "I know. I've been researching for 3 months. I found a lawyer who specializes in nonprofit formation. I've drafted a mission statement and program outline. I've run the numbers. Is possible, Janet? We can do this." Janet was quiet for a long moment, studying Nicole. Then she smiled. "Tell me more." Over the next 2 months, Nicole threw herself into building the foundation. She hired the nonprofit lawyer. She filed for 501c3 status. She created a board of directors, Janet, Simone, and 3 other professional women who believed in the mission. She named it the Future Queens Foundation. "Queens?" Simone asked when Nicole showed her the logo. "Because these girls are royalty," Nicole said. "They just don't know it yet. We're going to help them see their crowns." The foundation launched quietly. They recruited 5 mentors from the local business community, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant, and Nicole. They carefully selected 5 girls from the community center's existing programs, matching personalities and interests. Zara was the first official mentee. In the 2 years Nicole had been working with her, Zara had transformed from a defensive, struggling student to a confident honor roll student with college ambitions. "You're my proof of concept," Nicole told her. "You're what's possible when someone believes in you." "Miss Nicole, you're making me cry." "Good tears?" "The best tears." The program ran on a structured curriculum Nicole had developed. Monthly workshops covered everything from budgeting to public speaking. Weekly one-on-one sessions focused on academic support and personal development. Quarterly field trips exposed the girls to different career possibilities. Nicole organized a visit to a hospital where she worked, showing the girls everything from the emergency room to surgical suites. She watched their faces light up with possibility. "Could I be a doctor?" one girl asked. "Like someone like me?" "Yes," Nicole said firmly. "Someone exactly like you." After 6 months, the results were clear. All 5 girls had improved their grades. 4 were now taking advanced classes. 3 had started talking about college as a real possibility instead of a distant dream. Nicole applied for grants. She wrote proposals late into the night after her hospital shifts. She pitched the foundation to local businesses, asking for donations and sponsorships. was exhausting. But it was also exhilarating. The foundation grew. By the end of the first year they had 15 ments. By the end of the second year, 30. Local media did a feature on the program. More mentors volunteered. More donors contributed. Nicole cut back her hours at the hospital to focus on the foundation full-time. She hired a part-time administrator. She moved the foundation into a small office space donated by a local business owner. The Future Queens Foundation became her life. Not in the obsessive way her marriage had consumed her, but in a healthy, fulfilling way. She was building something that mattered, something that would outlast her. "You seem happy," Simone observed one evening over dinner. "Like really genuinely happy." Nicole thought about it. "I am. For the first time since the divorce, I wake up excited about the day. I have purpose." "You had purpose before. You're a nurse." "I know. But this is different. This is mine. I built it from nothing. Every girl we help, every life we change, that's because I took my pain and turned it into something good." Simone raised her glass. "To turning pain into purpose." Nicole clinked glasses with her friend. "And to never settling for less than we deserve." 3 years after founding the Future Queens Foundation, Nicole stood at a fundraising gala she'd organized. 200 people filled the hotel ballroom. Donors, mentors, community leaders. On stage, 5 of their men spoke about how the program had changed their lives. Zara, now 16 and a junior in high school, spoke last. "3 years ago, I thought college was for other people. Rich people. Smart people. Not people like me." Zara's voice was steady, confident. "Miss Nicole taught me that I was smart. That I was capable. That I deserved the same opportunities as anyone else. Because of this program, I'm graduating next year with honors. I've been accepted into early admission at 3 universities. And I'm going to become an engineer." The room erupted in applause. Nicole felt tears streaming down her face. This was what mattered. Not marriage, not romance, not finding someone to complete her. These girls. This impact. Nicole had spent 10 years trying to be a good wife, measuring her worth by whether her husband loved her. She'd felt destroyed when that ended. But now she knew the truth. Her worth had never depended on Brandon's love. It had always been inside her, waiting for her to claim it. And by claiming it, she'd helped 30 girls claim theirs too. That was a happy ending worth celebrating. 4 years after founding the Future Queens Foundation, Nicole sat in family court with her lawyer and Zara's mother. "This is highly unusual," the judge said, looking over the guardianship petition. "Ms. Bennett, you're not related to this child, correct?" "No, Your Honor. But I've been her mentor for 5 years. We have a strong bond." The judge turned to Zara's mother, Teresa. "Ms. Johnson, you're voluntarily transferring guardianship?" Teresa wiped her eyes. "I'm sick, Your Honor. Stage 3 cancer. The treatment it's not working the way we hoped. I need to know Zara will be taken care of." Nicole reached over and squeezed Teresa's hand. They'd cried together when Teresa got the diagnosis 6 months ago. They'd talked about options, about possibilities. Teresa's family was scattered, unreliable. Zara's father had never been involved. "Miss Nicole is the best thing that ever happened to my daughter," Teresa continued. "She's been more than a mentor. She's been present for every school event, every achievement, every struggle. She loves Zara. And Zara loves her." "Is the minor present?" the judge asked. "Yes, Your Honor." Zara stood up from her seat in the gallery. At 17, she was poised beyond her years, confident in a way she'd never been at 13. "Approach the bench, young lady." Zara walked forward. Nicole's heart pounded. "Do you understand what's happening here today?" the judge asked gently. "Yes, ma'am. My mom is sick. She wants Miss Nicole to be my legal guardian so I can finish high school and go to college without worrying about ending up in foster care." "And you're comfortable with this arrangement?" "Yes." Zara's voice was firm. "Miss Nicole has been like a parent to me for 5 years. She's taught me everything, not just school stuff but life stuff. How to budget. How to advocate for myself. How to believe I'm capable of anything. My mom is amazing, but she works so hard she doesn't have time for everything. Miss Nicole filled in those gaps. She chose to show up for me every week, even when it was inconvenient. That's love, Your Honor. That's family." Nicole felt tears running down her face. She didn't bother wiping them away. The judge looked at Nicole. "Miss Bennett, do you understand the responsibility you're taking on? Guardianship isn't mentorship. This young woman will be legally in your care. You'll be responsible for her welfare, her education, her medical decisions." "I understand, Your Honor. And I want this responsibility. Zara is Nicole's voice cracked. She's the best thing that's happened to me. Watching her grow, being part of her journey, it's been an honor. I would be privileged to be her legal guardian. The judge reviewed the paperwork again. The home study is exemplary. Ms. Bennett's financial situation is stable. Character references are outstanding. The minor clearly wants this arrangement. She looked up. I'm granting the petition. Ms. Bennett, you are now the legal guardian of Zara Johnson. The courtroom erupted in quiet celebration. Janet and Simone, sitting in the back, were crying. Teresa pulled both Nicole and Zara into a hug. Thank you, Teresa whispered. Thank you for loving my daughter. Thank you for trusting me with her, Nicole whispered back. 2 months later, Teresa died peacefully at home with Zara and Nicole by her side. The funeral was small but meaningful. Nicole held Zara as they said goodbye. I'm scared, Zara admitted that night at Nicole's house, now their house. I miss her so much. I know, sweetheart. That's normal. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. Will it always hurt this much? No. It'll change. Some days will be easier than others. But I'll be here for all of them, the hard days and the good days. You're not alone. Zara cried herself to sleep in Nicole's arms. Nicole stayed awake, thinking about the strange path her life had taken. 5 years ago, she'd been a woman whose entire identity was wrapped up in being a wife. She'd thought that was what happiness looked like. A husband, a home, traditional family structure. Then Brandon had shattered that illusion. The divorce had felt like dying. But Nicole hadn't died. She transformed. And in transforming, she'd found something more valuable than romantic love. Purpose. Impact. And a daughter she'd chosen who'd chosen her back. Zara thrived over the next year. She graduated high school as valedictorian. She received a full scholarship to study engineering. She gave the speech at the Future Queens Foundation annual gala, talking about how mentorship and love came in many forms. Family isn't always blood, Zara said to a room full of donors and ments. Family is who shows up, who stays, who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself. My mom gave me life. Miss Nicole taught me how to live it fully. I'm the luckiest person in the world to have had both of them. Nicole watched from her seat, overwhelmed with pride and gratitude. She thought the divorce had stolen her chance at family. But she'd been wrong. She'd built a family. Not through traditional means but through love, commitment, and choice. Later that night as they drove home from the gala, Zara said, "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you ever regret not having biological kids? Like a traditional family?" Nicole thought about it carefully. "No. I used to think that was what I wanted. But now I understand that family is about connection, not genetics. You're my family, Zara. The girls in our program are my family. I helped create something that will impact hundreds of lives. That's better than anything I imagined before. Even if you met someone? Like someone you wanted to marry again?" Nicole laughed. "Honestly, I'm not looking. I'm happy with my life as it is. Maybe that'll change someday, but right now I don't need romantic love to feel complete. I have you. I have the foundation. I have purpose. That's enough." "Good." Zara smiled. "Because I'm not sharing you with some random guy who doesn't deserve you. Deal?" They drove home in comfortable silence. Nicole thought about Brandon, about the man who'd betrayed her all those years ago. She wondered if he ever thought about her, about the life they could have had. Probably not. And that was fine. Because the life Nicole had built without him was better than anything they'd had together. She had a daughter who made her proud every day. She ran a foundation that changed lives. She turned her pain into purpose and her loss into legacy. That was the real happy ending, not finding someone to complete her, but discovering she'd been complete all along. Nicole returned to her car after the parking lot confrontation with Brandon, Zara chattering beside her about cookies. But her mind kept drifting back to the look on Brandon's face, the shock, the confusion, the dawning realization that he'd been completely wrong. That night after Zara went home, Nicole did something she hadn't done in 5 years. She looked up Brandon on social media. His profile was public. She scrolled through his posts, each one more revealing than the last. Brandon worked at a different company now, his title less impressive than before. The comments on his photos were sparse. He looked older, tired. Then Nicole saw it, a post from 3 months ago that stopped her cold. "Sometimes life teaches you hard lessons. Lost my marriage, almost lost my career, definitely lost my way. Working on being better. One day at a time." The comments were sympathetic but not numerous. Clearly, Brandon had lost more than just Nicole in the divorce. Nicole should have felt satisfaction. She should have felt vindicated. Instead she felt nothing. Just a distant curiosity about how his life had turned out. She clicked on Brittany's profile next, even though she'd sworn she never would. Brittany's page was more active. Photos of vacations, nights out with friends. But no Brandon. No ring. No relationship status listed. Nicole closed the app. Whatever had happened between Brandon and Brittany wasn't her concern. That chapter of her life was closed. But apparently it wasn't closed for Brandon. 2 days after the parking lot encounter, Nicole got an email. He tracked down her work address somehow. Nicole, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. You made that clear 5 years ago. But seeing you the other day made me realize I never apologized. Not really. I was wrong. About everything. About Brittany, about thinking I'd be happier without you, about the way I handled things. The divorce destroyed me in ways I didn't expect. I lost you, I lost my job, I lost my reputation. Brittany left me 6 months after we got together. Turns out she was more interested in my position than in me. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. But I wanted you to know that I see now what I had with you. What I threw away. You were the best thing in my life and I was too stupid to appreciate it. I also wanted to say that what you've done with the foundation is incredible. I researched it after seeing you with that girl. You've helped hundreds of kids. You turned into someone amazing. You always were amazing. I was just too blind to see it. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I'm sorry. And that I hope you're happy. Brandon. Nicole read the email 3 times. Then she deleted it without responding. She could have written back. Could have told him his apology was 5 years too late. Could have listed all the ways he'd hurt her. Could have gloated about her success while he struggled. But none of that would change anything. Brandon's guilt was his problem to manage, not hers to absolve. Still, the email bothered her more than she wanted to admit. Not because she still had feelings for him, but because it opened old wounds she thought had healed. That night, lying in bed, Nicole found herself thinking about the marriage. Not with longing but with clarity. She could see now all the ways it had been broken long before Brandon's affair. How they'd stopped really talking. How Nicole had poured herself into work to avoid addressing problems at home. How Brandon had been emotionally distant for years. The affair had been the final blow, but the marriage had been dying slowly for a long time. Nicole had spent 5 years being angry at Brandon for betraying her. But she'd never examined her own part in the relationship's failure. Not because the affair was her fault, that was all on him. But because she'd stayed in a marriage that wasn't working, hoping it would magically improve. She'd ignored red flags. She'd accepted less than she deserved. She'd made herself small to keep the peace. Nicole got out of bed and opened her journal, a habit she'd started in therapy after the divorce. She wrote for an hour, processing thoughts she'd never fully acknowledged. I'm not angry anymore. I thought I was, but that encounter in the parking lot showed me the truth. I'm indifferent. Brandon is a stranger now. Someone I used to know. His apology doesn't change anything because I don't need it anymore. I needed it 5 years ago when I was broken and hurting. But I healed without it. I built a life without him. His remorse is his journey, not mine. I forgive him not for his sake but for mine. Not because what he did was okay, but because carrying that anger doesn't serve me anymore. I'm choosing to let it go. The girl he married, that Nicole who measured her worth by her husband's love, she doesn't exist anymore. I'm someone different now. Someone stronger. Someone who knows her value. Brandon didn't take that from me. If anything, losing him helped me find it. Nicole closed the journal feeling lighter than she had in days. The next morning, she ran into Janet at the foundation office. You okay? Janet asked. You seem distracted. Brandon emailed me. Apologizing for everything. How do you feel about that? Honestly? Nothing. I mean, I appreciate that he sees what he did was wrong. But his apology doesn't change my life. It doesn't undo the hurt. It just makes him feel better. Janet nodded. Closure is overrated. People think they need it from the person who hurt them, but real closure comes from within. Sounds like you found that. I have. Nicole smiled. I built something better than what I lost. That's the best response to his apology, living well. Living well is definitely the best revenge. Nicole thought about that phrase. She'd heard it 1,000 times, but now it resonated differently. Revenge wasn't about making Brandon suffer. It was about showing him and herself that his betrayal hadn't broken her. That she'd taken the worst moment of her life and transformed it into purpose. That evening, Nicole attended Zara's college orientation with her. They walked around the campus, planning Zara's dorm room, talking about classes and possibilities. Are you nervous? Nicole asked. Terrified. But in a good way. Like this is really happening. I'm really going to college. You earned it. We earned it. You and me together. Nicole pulled Zara into a hug. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of us. Look what we built, Miss Nicole. We turned something painful, my mom's illness, your divorce, into something beautiful. We're family now. Not because we had to be, but because we chose each other. Nicole felt tears welling up. Best choice I ever made. Walking back to the car, Nicole thought about Brandon's email one more time. Then she let the thought go, releasing it like a balloon into the sky. He didn't get to live in her head anymore. He didn't get to take up space in her heart or her thoughts or her life. She'd moved on. Not just past the divorce, but past the entire version of herself who thought she needed a husband to be complete. Nicole Bennett was complete on her own. And she had a daughter, a foundation, and a life full of meaning to prove it. That was closure. That was healing. That was revenge. Not as destruction, but as transformation. And it felt pretty damn good. Nicole learned about Brandon's full downfall not from him, but from an unexpected source. She was at a hospital fundraiser when a woman approached her. Nicole didn't recognize her at first, professionally dressed, confident posture. Nicole Bennett? The woman asked. Yes. I'm Christine Wu. I used to work with Brandon at Mercer Financial. Nicole's guard went up immediately. Okay. I wanted to thank you. Christine's smile was genuine. What you did, reporting the affair to HR, it actually helped expose a much bigger problem at the company. Nicole's eyebrows rose. What do you mean? Can we talk for a minute? They moved to a quieter corner of the venue. Christine explained that after Nicole's report, HR had opened an investigation into Brandon's relationship with Brittany. What they found was worse than a simple workplace romance. Brandon had been promoting Brittany over more qualified candidates, Christine said. He'd given her preferential assignments, better evaluations than her work warranted. The HR investigation revealed a pattern of favoritism that bordered on corruption. I had no idea. Neither did we until your report triggered the investigation. 3 other women came forward after that, saying Brandon had made them uncomfortable. Nothing as blatant as harassment, but creating an environment where women felt they had to accommodate him to advance. Nicole felt sick. He fired them? No, but he made their work lives difficult if they didn't play along with his inappropriate comments and suggestions. The investigation found enough to terminate him. Not just for the affair, but for abuse of his position. And Brittany? Also fired. She'd been complicit in the favoritism. Plus, she tried to claim the relationship was coercive, that Brandon had pressured her. But the emails you provided showed it was consensual and strategic. She was using him as much as he was using her. Christine leaned in. The company settled with the women who came forward. Changes were made to reporting procedures and oversight. Your report started a domino effect that cleaned up a toxic department. So thank you. I know it probably didn't feel good to report your ex-husband, but you helped a lot of women. After Christine left, Nicole sat with this information. She'd reported Brandon to HR out of strategy, to strengthen her divorce position. She'd never considered the broader implications. Her phone buzzed. Simone texting. Did you see Brandon's LinkedIn? Nicole hadn't looked at Brandon's professional profile in years. But curiosity won out. She pulled it up on her phone. Brandon had bounced between 3 companies in 5 years. Each position was a step down from the last. His current title was Senior Associate, a junior position compared to where he'd been during their marriage. The recommendations section was empty. No testimonials, no endorsements. His network had shrunk dramatically. Nicole did something she'd never done before. She searched for news articles about the Mercer financial scandal. She found several, though Brandon's name wasn't mentioned specifically. The articles detailed a workplace culture investigation, terminations, settlements. One article included an interview with a workplace culture expert. When one person comes forward about misconduct, it often gives others courage to do the same. That's why even seemingly small reports matter. They can expose systemic problems. Nicole closed her phone, processing this new information. She'd thought her divorce was just about her and Brandon. But her decision to report him had impacted dozens of people she'd never met. The next week, Nicole bumped into another ghost from her past. She was having coffee with Simone when a woman approached their table. Brittany. She looked different, older, tired. Her confident facade had cracked. Nicole, Brittany said. Can I talk to you? Just for a minute? Simone started to stand, protective, but Nicole gestured for her to stay seated. What do you want, Brittany? I want to apologize. Nicole almost laughed. You're 5 years too late. I know. But I need to say it anyway. Brittany's hands twisted together. What I did was wrong. I knew Brandon was married. I pursued him anyway. I told myself you two were having problems, that he was planning to leave you anyway, that it wasn't really my fault. But those were excuses. Yes, they were. I lost everything because of that affair. My job, my reputation, my career trajectory. I've been working temp jobs for 3 years because no one in finance will hire me. Brandon and I lasted 6 months before I realized he was the same with me as he was with you. Selfish, manipulative, always looking for the next best thing. I'm sorry your life didn't work out how you wanted, Nicole said, and she meant it. Not because she felt bad for Brittany, but because holding on to anger served no purpose. But I'm not sure what you want from me. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. Brandon wasn't worth destroying your life, or mine. I wish I'd been smart enough to see that before I got involved. Me too. Brittany nodded and walked away. Simone waited until she was gone before exploding. The nerve of that woman. Coming here, acting like her apology means something. It's okay, Simone. It's not okay. She helped destroy your marriage. My marriage was already broken. Brittany and Brandon just exposed the cracks. Nicole sipped her coffee, surprisingly calm. I'm not excusing what either of them did. But I'm also not carrying that anger anymore. They both lost way more than I did. How can you be so zen about this? Because I won. Nicole smiled. Not because they're struggling, I don't take pleasure in that. But because I built something meaningful from the wreckage. They didn't destroy me. They freed me. Simone shook her head in amazement. You're a better person than I am. I'm just tired of letting them live rent-free in my head. That night, Nicole thought about the encounters with Christine and Brittany. She thought about Brandon's email, his obvious regret. 5 years ago, she'd wanted revenge. She'd wanted Brandon and Brittany to suffer the way she'd suffered. She'd wanted them to lose everything. And they had. Brandon's career was in ruins. Brittany couldn't find decent work. Their affair had imploded. They'd both lost their reputations. But Nicole didn't feel the satisfaction she'd imagined. Instead, she felt distant. Like she was observing someone else's story, not her own. She'd moved so far past the divorce that their downfalls felt irrelevant. Their struggles didn't validate her success. Her success stood on its own merits. Nicole had built the Future Queen's foundation. She'd become a guardian to Zara. She'd helped hundreds of girls change their lives. She'd found purpose and meaning and joy. None of that had anything to do with Brandon failing. It had everything to do with Nicole choosing herself. That was the real revenge, not their suffering but her indifference to it. She'd won not because they'd lost, but because she'd moved on so completely that winning and losing didn't even apply anymore. She was playing an entirely different game. 3 years after the parking lot encounter with Brandon, Nicole stood backstage at the city's convention center, smoothing down her dress for the 5th time. You're nervous, Zara observed. At 20, she was home from college for winter break, confident and poised in ways that still surprised Nicole. Terrified, Nicole admitted. There are going to be 500 people in that audience. And every single one of them is here because of what you built. You've earned this, Miss Nicole. Miss Nicole. Even though Zara was legally Nicole's daughter now, she'd never stopped using the title. It was their thing, a reminder of where they'd started. 5 minutes, a stage manager called out. Nicole peeked through the curtain at the crowd filling the auditorium. The Future Queens Foundation was receiving the Humanitarian Impact Award, recognizing their work with over 500 girls across 3 cities. Tonight's ceremony would honor not just the foundation, but the mentors and ments who made it work. Ready? Janet appeared, looking elegant in a navy suit. As the foundation's executive director, she'd been instrumental in its growth. No. Nicole laughed nervously. But let's do it anyway. The lights dimmed. Nicole walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. She stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, donors, mentors, ments, community leaders, press. And in the 3rd row, Simone with her family, all of them grinning and clapping. 8 years ago, Nicole began, her voice steadying as she spoke, I was lost. I'd just gone through a divorce. My life felt broken. I didn't know who I was without the marriage I'd built my identity around. She could see Zara watching from the wings, smiling encouragement. I started volunteering at a youth center because I needed something to do with my empty evenings. And there I met a 13-year-old girl who was struggling, Not because she wasn't smart or capable, but because she didn't have anyone showing her what was possible. Nicole clicked the remote, and Zara's 7th grade school photo appeared on the screen behind her. This is Zara. She became my first mentee. And in teaching her, she taught me something crucial, that family isn't just about blood or marriage. It's about showing up. It's about choosing each other. It's about commitment that goes deeper than legal documents. The photo changed to show Nicole and Zara at Zara's high school graduation. Zara is now studying engineering at State University on a full scholarship. She's on the dean's list. She's an intern at a robotics company. She's everything I knew she could be. But here's the thing, I didn't make her smart or capable or ambitious. Those qualities were always there. I just helped her see them in herself. Another photo, the first group of foundation ments. That's what the Future Queens Foundation does. We don't fix girls who are broken. We show girls who feel invisible that they've been queens all along. We give them tools, guidance, and someone who believes in them unconditionally. Nicole shared statistics, graduation rates, college acceptance numbers, career achievements. She introduced several ments who spoke about their experiences. Each story was different, but the theme was the same. Someone showed up and changed everything. Then it was time for Zara to speak. She walked onto stage, confident and professional, everything Nicole had hoped she'd become. I'm going to tell you something Miss Nicole doesn't know, Zara said, looking directly at Nicole. When I was 13, I had a plan to drop out of school at 16. I didn't see the point. No one in my family had gone to college. We were struggling financially. I figured I'd just get a job and help my mom with bills. Nicole's hand flew to her mouth. She'd never known this. Then Miss Nicole showed up. And she didn't just help me with homework. She showed me a different way of thinking about my life. She taught me that where I came from didn't have to determine where I was going. She made me believe I deserved good things, not because of what I did for others but just because I existed. Zara's voice got thick with emotion. My biological mom gave me life. She loved me fiercely, worked herself to exhaustion to provide for me. She was my hero. But Miss Nicole gave me something else. She gave me belief. Belief in myself, belief in my future, belief that I could be more than circumstances suggested. She turned to face Nicole fully. You saved my life, Miss Nicole. Not in a dramatic way but in the everyday way that matters most. You showed up. Every week, every month, every year. You chose me. And when my mom got sick, you chose to become my guardian. You didn't have to. I wasn't your responsibility. But you made me your daughter anyway. Nicole was crying now, not bothering to hide it. So this award isn't just about the Future Queens Foundation. It's about what's possible when we choose to show up for each other. When we decide that love isn't just romantic or biological, it's intentional. It's commitment. It's showing a young person that they matter enough for someone to invest in them. The audience gave Zara a standing ovation. She walked over and hugged Nicole, both of them crying. I didn't know you were going to say all that, Nicole whispered. I needed you to hear it, Zara whispered back. You think you know what you did for me. But you don't. Not really. You saved me, Miss Nicole. In every way that matters. The ceremony continued. Nicole accepted the award alongside Janet and the board. Photos were taken. Hands were shaken. Promises were made to continue the work. But Nicole's mind kept returning to Zara's words. She'd started the foundation to give her pain purpose. She'd never imagined it would give her this. A daughter, a family, a legacy that mattered. Later that night at the reception, Nicole found a quiet corner to decompress. Simone joined her with 2 glasses of wine. How are you feeling? Overwhelmed. Grateful. A little bit shocked that this is my life. You earned every bit of it. Nicole sipped her wine, watching Zara across the room, laughing with some of the other ments. You know what's crazy? If Brandon hadn't cheated, if the divorce hadn't happened, none of this would exist. I'd probably still be stuck in an unhappy marriage, measuring my worth by whether my husband loved me. So you're saying the affair was the best thing that happened to you? Not exactly. It hurt like hell. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. But Nicole considered her words carefully. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you breaks you open enough to let in something better. I thought the divorce was an ending. But it was actually a beginning. That's very profound. Or very wine-influenced. Nicole laughed. But it's true. I'm happier now than I ever was in my marriage. I have purpose. I have Zara. I have this incredible foundation that's changing lives. I found out who I really am when I'm not trying to be what someone else needs. Simone raised her glass. To painful beginnings that lead to beautiful endings. To choosing ourselves, Nicole added, clinking glasses. As the evening wound down, Nicole gave Zara a ride home, to their home, the house they'd bought together 2 years ago. It wasn't huge or fancy, but it was theirs. Every room reflected their shared life, their chosen family. "Miss Nicole?" Zara said as they pulled into the driveway. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Brandon hadn't cheated? Like alternate universe where you're still married?" Nicole thought about it. "Sometimes. But then I remember that the marriage wasn't good even before the affair. We'd grown apart. We wanted different things. Even if he hadn't cheated, we probably would have ended up divorced eventually. Do you think you'll ever get married again?" "Maybe. But I'm not looking for it. I'm not waiting for some man to complete my story. My story is already complete. Job I love, daughter I adore, foundation that's changing lives. If someone amazing comes along who adds to that, great. But I don't need it to be happy." "Good. Because you deserve someone who sees how incredible you are." Nicole pulled into the garage, smiling. "You're pretty incredible yourself, you know." They went inside together, easy in each other's presence. While Zara made tea, Nicole checked her email. One message stood out, from the mayor's office. She opened it, reading quickly. Then she read it again. "Zara, come here." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Look at this." Zara read over Nicole's shoulder. "Oh my God. They want to expand the foundation model to 10 more cities? With city funding. It's a proposal. But if it goes through..." Nicole's mind raced with possibilities. "We could help thousands of girls. Create a network of mentorship programs across the state." "That's insane. That's amazing. That's..." Zara hugged Nicole tight. "Mom, this is incredible." Nicole froze. "What did you just call me?" Zara pulled back, suddenly shy. "I called you Mom. Is that okay? I know you're Miss Nicole and that's our thing, but sometimes I think of you as my mom. My chosen mom. The one who showed me how to be myself." Nicole's eyes filled with tears for the third time that night. "It's more than okay. It's perfect." They hugged again, longer this time. Two people who'd chosen each other, built a family from scratch, turned pain into purpose. "You know what I realized tonight?" Nicole said. "I spent 10 years trying to make Brandon happy, trying to be a good wife, measuring my worth by whether my marriage was successful. I lost myself in that. But losing that marriage helped me find this, you, the foundation, a life that actually matters." "Everything happens for a reason?" Zara asked skeptically. "No. I think terrible things happen sometimes. But we get to choose what we do with them. We can let them destroy us or we can use them to build something better. I chose to build." "We chose to build," Zara corrected. "Together." Later, after Zara had gone to bed, Nicole sat in her home office, looking at the award on her desk. The lights from outside cast shadows across the room. She thought about Brandon wherever he was. She hoped he was okay. She hoped he'd learned something. But mostly she just felt neutral about him. No anger, no longing, no need for closure or revenge or understanding. He was part of her past. An important part because he'd taught her what she didn't want. But just a part. Her real life, her full, meaningful, joyful life, had nothing to do with him. Nicole pulled out her journal and wrote, "Tonight I received an award for humanitarian work. But the real award is waking up every morning knowing my life has purpose. It's having a daughter who calls me mom. It's watching girls discover their own strength. It's building something that will outlast me. I thought I needed romantic love to be complete. I thought I needed a husband to have a family. I thought the divorce was the end of everything. I was wrong about all of it. The divorce was the beginning. The betrayal cracked me open and let in light. The pain taught me strength I never knew I had. I'm not the woman who married Brandon. That woman was smaller, quieter, less sure of herself. That woman measured her worth by someone else's love. I'm someone new now. Someone who knows her value. Someone who chose to build a life that matters. This is my happy ending, not a wedding, not a reconciliation, not revenge. Just this, purpose, family, and the knowledge that I'm exactly who I'm meant to be. Everything else is just noise." Nicole closed the journal and turned off the light. Tomorrow she'd start planning the foundation's expansion. She'd work with mentors and mets. She'd continue building something meaningful. But tonight she'd just be grateful. For Zara, for the journey, for the strength she'd found in her darkest moment. She'd thought the divorce would destroy her. Instead, it had set her free to become the person she was always meant to be. And that, Nicole realized as she climbed into bed, was the best revenge of all. Not his suffering but her complete and utter happiness without him.